We got a lot of young people.
No, that's a good try.
Cool.
The bathrooms, is there a doctor in the house?
Yeah. There is,
I know there is.
yeah.
Find her a chair.
I think they're getting some. Yeah.
Was it this? Did you decide to send them with mine? Okay. Mine's bigger.
Yes. I got my glasses on and everything.
Number one, you won't be anybody there.
What?
As soon as we get done with number one.
I know.
Yep.
I'll take them around the other side.
Keith.
Between you guys, you can find it. Right.
All right. I did that one already.
Change the sheet, you need to change the sheet, 'cause I signed that. Not one once, so you change the sheet.
They don't have one in
They
there.
added one.
Call the meeting to order and begin with pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, there's nothing to add or subtract or delete from the agenda, so I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and second to approve the agenda as printed. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Approval of the minutes. Are there any, are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Are found on pages 1, 2, 3 in the agenda. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Oh, motion.
Need a motion?
Oh, we have a motion, have to have a motion
I'll
first.
make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and second to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Public input. Has anybody got anything that they need to say that's not on the agenda?
Can you turn that mic on, Randy, on the bottom?
I was just wondering, I was told, Ronnie, has there been surveyors over in my street area to look at the drainage problem? There has,
They were there today.
they were there today. I wish they would have been there last night, but.
Terry was with them.
Yeah, they were there.
And so do you like have a timeline when they're going to? Because last night we had a inch 20, 30 event, and in 10 minutes I couldn't even get out of my house because it was completely surrounded by water again. And then it started coming in my house again. And luckily I was there and I didn't let it get in anymore. So, I mean, my situation last time was it surrounded me in the front, and then it comes in from the back, and there's you can see the trash back there that it washed up last night, and I was just wondering where it was at. That's all I was questioning, because last night's wasn't, the last year when it did about exactly a year ago, we had a 3-something event. Last night's was only inch something, but it was like in 15 minutes that we got the most of that last night. But still got a huge problem.
Well, they're looking into a solution to it, so.
Okay, all right, that's all I got to say.
Okay, thanks,
you.
Randy. Anybody else got anything? If not, we'll go with the department head reports found on pages 4 through 8. Has anybody got any question about the department report, head reports? I would like to note that Terry Manning, they inspected the airport and they found no discrepancies, so I'd like to congratulate him for the good report. Is there anything else on public input? Or the department head reports? If not, we'll go to number 1, the pool committee, new pool presentation.
Josh is just putting up a poster here. Good evening, and my name is Sarah DeHai. I'm the vice chair for the Miller Pool Committee. I have Brian Breitling, Jill Vanderwerf, and Dr. Steve Schrader here with us, who are also part of our pool committee. First of all, we'd like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to share with you what our committee has been working on over the last year. As many of you know, we've had some concerns with our current pool condition, and in 2019, Burbach Aquatics completed a technical evaluation of our pool. A little over a year ago, a pool committee was formed consisting of various community members, including swim team, board members, city council representatives, city pool maintenance, and lifeguards. We've worked closely with the Burbach Aquatics to discuss our current pool condition and what it would entail to update our pool to offer a safer, more public-friendly attraction for our community. So the first thing we'd like to discuss with you is the history of our pool, and Dr. Schrader will come up and go over that with you.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to be here. Hear me okay? As the senior member of the group, I was elected to give a history of the pool, and unfortunately, a lot of it is going to be personal because I go back a long ways. But as you can see from the slide, there are various pools that have existed in Miller for a number of years. A lot of them down in the park area, from what we understand, but research is sometimes tough to come up with an exact number. The pool that I first learned of when I think I first swam there in 1955. Ron, do you remember much about the old pool? I had 10 years worth there. But the interesting thing about it, and like it says on the slide, it was a non-filtered pool. What that basically means, it was dark water, dark, cold water. And it was quite an experience to swim there, just from the standpoint of a huge number of kids who would go there. And my hat's off to the lifeguard, Lou Schultz, was one of the earliest ones I remember. She gave swimming lessons, but what would happen for safety purposes, all they could do with in a pool you can't see, is that every 15 minutes they'd blow a buzzer, and you were supposed to have a partner for which you found, and you raised your hand. And at one point, they even gave us wristbands. But of course, kids being what they are, they would take off for home and not mention to their partner that they'd gone. And it led to, Joe, you can probably remember these days too, that it would cause quite a furor amongst the lifeguards, because they had to make sure that there wasn't a kid in the bottom of the pool. You couldn't see it. So it was quite a change when the water became clear. In fact, I always tell people that Highmore had a clear pool years before Miller did, and it was quite a treat. Once or twice a summer, somebody would take us over to swim in the clear Highmore pool. Big deal. But anyway, it was quite the experience, and looking at it from the standpoint of a number of years being associated with the pool, it's good to be a part of this. Moving on down, as you can see on the slide, the current pool, the most recent one was built in 1965, and that was clear water, and has functioned since that time, as you'll learn about. There was, I can vaguely remember in '87 when there was a discussion about a possible new pool, but it was just a renovation of the existing one that went on. And in '91, it was again renovated, and the slide added, which was, of course, a big factor for kids. And I said, when I go down the pool once every 3 or 4 years, I go down the slide just for old time's sake. But it's not high on my list to do. So the bottom line of it is that the current pool's been there 56 years, and I'm happy to say I've been in a number of those years, and it's been a good experience. We talk about aspects of what pools do for communities, and of course it's recreation, it's a form of fitness, it's inspiration for me to go down and swim even when I don't feel like it, because it's nice and easy to get to. And there's one other thing that they'll talk about following me is another thing that swimming and learning how to swim is a life skill. And by that, it's very simply that all of us should learn how to swim. We may not like to swim, we may not go there very often, but you never know when in an emergent situation you may have to go salvage somebody out of a ditch full of water, or a lake, or whatever the case may be. So learning how to swim, even though you may not do it big time, is well worth it, and it's something that this community should be proud of, because we've got a number of processes going on. The swim club, as you'll learn more about, has been quite an addition. So there's history in a nutshell, and I'm glad the water's clear now.
So Dr. Schrader gave a little bit of history on our pool. We've been very fortunate to have a pool in our community that long. Our pool provides many things for our community and surrounding areas, as Dr. Schrader mentioned. It offers a safe place for all ages to enjoy during the summer. Like Dr. Schrader alluded to, you never know when you're going to need to use your swimming experiences to help somebody else out. Many of us enjoy water activities, fishing, boating, taking the kids or grandkids to the pool. And like I said, you just never know when you're going to need to use your swimming skills. So our pool offers a controlled environment for everyone of all ages to learn how to swim. It also offers employment during the summer months to a variety of people, including our high school and college students. At this time, we currently have a wading pool and a larger pool. A new pool would offer a zero entry for all ages of swimmers. Our pool also offers lap swim and water aerobics, which are fun and healthy activities for kids and adults to participate in during the summer. I think all of us would agree we want to see our Miller community continue to prosper. Updating our current pool provides an attraction for stable community growth and would be a community asset for future generations. And so we'll go into our current pool condition.
Like Sarah mentioned earlier, we as a committee have been working with Burbach for a little over a year. They completed an assessment on our current pool back in April of 19, I believe. And on the slide, there's just a few highlights regarding our current pool's condition. So the current pool and the wading pool do not meet ADA compliance. Right now, the wading pool is not large enough to have an ADA compliant ramp to it. If we added a ramp to it, there would be very minimal deck space to it. Then the lifeguard chairs do not meet OSHA requirement. They do not provide fall protection, and they're unsafe for the lifeguards. Let's see, and the diving tower is in poor condition and should be removed. The current pool, the main pool itself leaks a significant amount of water. And the deck has shifted and cracked over the years, which causes a tripping hazard to the kids up there. And the pool vessel also presents cuts, hazards. If the concrete's roughed and it's chipped, it needs painted. It's chipped all over on the bottom surface of the vessel. The mechanical room is below grade, so that causes safety for flooding concerns. And the current pool is not certified length in order for like the swim club to hold competitive events. We've added just a few pictures of our current pool. The top left is the wading pool. I don't know if you can see very well, but there are several cracks in that pool as well. The paint has chipped off in several places. And again, like I said, it's non-ADA compliant. The top right is the north decking of the pool, and it has chips and cracks all over in it, and is a big tripping hazard. And the bottom left is the water slide, which is 20 years old. The handrails have several areas of rust spots due to the insufficient weep holes. It was also reported of replacing the supply pipe by the pump because it sucks in gravel. And then the lifeguard chair there that I talked about that doesn't meet OSHA standards. I did print off one that's just an example of an OSHA standard one. I'll pass it around. It's not.
I've got some here.
Not necessarily that. Yeah, I don't know if you have that or not.
I do somewhere here.
It's just an example of one. The ones that are currently at the pool, you know, as a lifeguard, it's fairly high in the air, so if a lifeguard had to get off and save a swimmer at some point, the steps aren't very wide, like they're very small, there would be issues. And if they just jumped off, you know, that's pretty hard on their knees, they could cause hazards to them as well. And I think on the following slide, is the pool heater. As of right now, I believe the heater uses 1,000 gallons of fuel during the summer to keep it heated. It's hard to see on the top right, that's a deck drain coming right out of the bathhouse into the main right by the shallow end, but the concrete has shifted, so it's raised a little bit in that area and is a tripping hazard. I know it's not the greatest picture of the main pool in the bottom left, but like I said, it has a significant amount of leaking of water. The city adds water to the pool on a daily basis to keep it full. There's a large crack along the transition panel, and when the pool's empty, the groundwater leaks back into the pool, so that's not real sanitary or, also, that's not a full picture of the main pool, but it's a trapezoid shape. So again, if as a swim club, we wanted to host swim meets, it's not a certified length. So we wouldn't be able to host swim meets until we made it the right length. And Terry, I don't know if you have any input on the condition of the pool at all.
You're cutting our free.
The next slide is the current version of a new pool that, as a committee, we've kind of all decided that would fit our budget, fit our community, and Josh has again brought a bigger version of it so everybody can take a look at it. In the top right, the red are the shade tents, which currently we only have one. And I'm not even sure, Sydney, is the umbrella up? I don't even know if we have the umbrella.
No, we have an umbrella, but we can't put it up when it's gonna be out.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So there are several, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shade areas that we wouldn't currently have right now. Definitely would be a new slide. It just would be in a different area. I don't know, maybe I could show this a little better, but the current bathhouse is this big brown area here. And so you would come out, there's a type of fence that would block or guard from like the little ones jetting away from their parents coming out of the shower house so that they can't have access right away to go jump in the water. And then over here is the zero depth entry. And this area would be something similar to the train. It'd be, or like a frog slide for the kids to go down. And then like a, I don't know, I want to call it
Overhead spray.
yeah, like a mushroom that would spray water out the top of it. And then it would gradually slope and get deeper, and then our slide would come here and would be in this middle section here, and then you have an entry to come out to get to the slide here. And this circle area here is called the vortex. Yeah, the vortex. It's like a toilet bowl, but it has a current in it. And instead, like I know Huron and Mitchell have, or Aberdeen have like a lazy river. We thought we would maybe do something different to bring maybe more people to our area and check out our pool. So the vortex would still be able to use for like water aerobics. You could still walk the opposite of the current too for your exercise. We have an aqua zip line that would be something different than like the lily pad crosswalk thing. And then we would still have a diving board. And we would keep the existing bathhouse. I think we would maybe need to add an extra bathroom stall in each men and women's to make it a little bit for capacity wise, but otherwise this is the version we kind of have chosen. We've researched, we've changed it, made different, I don't know, we've done a lot of research on the different pools, what as a community we would think would bring more people to our area. think the next one is Brian.
Okay, now we're into the money piece of it. And so just kind of to reiterate, we spent a little over a year working on this with all of the community members. We ended up with 8 different versions. Version 7 is what we selected. So we found some that were less expensive. We found some that were more expensive. In the end, coming up with this design, we felt matched what our community needs are probably best based on what we had the chance to review. So from a construction cost standpoint, the project that we're looking at, version 7, is projected to have a $4.1 million construction cost. And so just a quick breakdown of that, $2 million of that is the pool vessel, plumbing, deck, and mechanical. So really everything related to the actual swimming pool is about $2 million. The sites and pool amenities, that's the water features, the shade, the zero depth, and a number of those things, $640,000. And so those are the pieces that make it fun for the kids, make it a family event, and really bring tourists to town. The demo of the existing pool, excavation, mobilization, engineering, design, a contingency fund is $1.25 million, so $1.25 million. And again, there's some possibilities depending on how we wanted to do that. If we wanted to do some of the demo ourselves locally, we could certainly reduce some of that cost. But by and large, that's what we're looking at for that phase of it. As Jill said, the bathhouse is relatively new. It's about 15 years old now. But for code standards, we would need to do just some minor updates to that, and that's $90,000. So a very minimal cost addition to the overall pool project. Now, with the cost, there's always how do you pay for that? And so we are looking at kind of a mix or a blend of a variety of different things. Number one, municipal bond sale. So we're asking the city to take out a $2 million loan. I'll get into more of that here in just a moment. We are preparing a capital campaign, and our goal is to raise $1 million through that capital campaign. We'll be applying for some grants as well. That leaves about $1 million for the city of Miller to participate in as well. So as far as the capital campaign, the grants, we're going to be working with NECOG. We are going to be applying for some state grants, CDBG, Game Fish and Parks, just a number, whatever we can find. And we're going to be looking for some private grants as well. So really, if we can work together on those, the more we can reduce the city's input, that's our goal. So to make this successful for all of the swimmers, to make it successful for a swim team, to make it successful for the city, we want to minimize that financial liability on the city as much as possible. So we just want you to understand it is a partnership. We recognize that. We're going to do our best to do that. But from a budget standpoint, where we're starting at $2 million loan, $1 million capital campaign, a little over $1 million with the city, and then grants, other funding for a total of $4.1 million. I'm not a valuation or taxation expert, so I'll just start with that. Last fall, we met with some folks who explained a few things with the city. You're going to be much more well-versed in this than I am. The 21 valuation of the city is $71.7 million. A $2 million loan at 3% interest for 20 years is annual payment of $134,000. So the annual tax levy would be $1.87 per $1,000 for a residential owner-occupied dwelling. So ballpark figure of a $100,000 house, it would be an increase of $187 a year, so about $15 a month. And so, and of course, you all are well aware that as valuations increase, that number would decrease over time as well. And again, I'm not an expert in this, and so more information will be coming out in a couple of years when we get to that point. But our recommendation is a $2 million loan, and again, for 20 years, it'd be $134,000 a year payment by the city. Capital campaign, we are looking at raising about $1 million. And again, if we're very successful, that's just a less financial commitment the city has to do. We are looking to recruit 20 members for the capital campaign. We plan to start this fall and then end sometime next summer. The campaign will target, again, the state, federal, and private grants, as well as local funds as well. And again, it's our goal to raise $1 million. So from a funding standpoint, we feel that we've spent quite a bit of time on what the estimated cost would be. We know that the pandemic has manipulated some numbers a little bit, but we think that by the time we are prepared to proceed forward, things should again level out to normal market economy once again. And so with that, our closer.
I have a question. Have you considered going to the county for any money?
We have not talked to the county about putting in any investment in this yet. We can certainly do that as part of our campaign process or just overall funding process, but we have not planned on going to the county yet.
So none of your figures even have any
The
thought,
county does not, none of our figures have a county commitment included.
but you have thought about maybe asking them?
We're gonna
I mean,
hit pretty much
countywide,
every entity as
Yeah.
we go through the
They
campaign
use the pool
process.
too, just as well as the city residents.
Sarah, we're gonna have to take a break here for this,
Okay.
this hearing.
Okay.
It'll only take about 5 minutes.
How's that? You have it? Okay.
It being 7:30, we have an advertised here, public hearing here for the transfer of a liquor license from the Highlight to Redneck Paradise. I have the check here, the paperwork's all done. Are you going to explain this, Jerry?
I'll explain some of, yeah. I purchased a Highlight Bar on contingent that they pass license on to me. What our plans are is to completely take the building down, it is shot, and put something new in there. We're not totally sure what we'll make of it yet, but it'll be nice when we're done. And Sean McFarland will manage it and eventually be the owner of it down the road in a few years. And that's about what I got going. Talked over some different things. I mean, I haven't really sat down and talked deep into what we would do or what we put back into it. I think it'd make the town look a lot better getting a different building in there at this time and a few other things.
Anybody got any questions of Jerry? Do you have anything else, Jerry?
Nope, that pretty much covers what I have to say. Unless somebody has some questions. I'm a man of little words, they tell me.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to either reject or approve this application for transfer of a liquor license from the Highlight to Redneck Paradise Incorporated.
I'll make the motion to transfer the liquor license from the Highlight to the Redneck Paradise.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the transfer of a liquor license from the Highlight Bar to Redneck Paradise. Is there any discussion?
I would like to say one more thing. We'd probably transfer that into my name, is where it'd probably go. Because Redneck Paradise rents all that stuff from myself. That makes a difference. Be brought up here right now.
So you want this transferred to,
Yeah, it'd probably be transferred to my trust or whatever,
okay.
So do you wanna change that application then?
if we need to, if it ain't a hassle. If not, we can leave it there too.
Well, if we're gonna do that, just if you could stop in tomorrow and we'll
Okay,
reword it or whatever. So
sounds
instead
good.
of- Instead of Redneck, it'll be your trust.
Yeah, it'll be in our trust.
Okay.
Okay, is there any more discussion? If not, I'm gonna vote by roll call. I'm gonna start with Alderman Schwartz,
Aye.
Alderman Zeller,
Hi.
Alderman Odegaard,
Aye.
Alderman Rangel,
Aye.
Alderwoman, Lichty,
Aye.
Alderman Stewart.
Aye.
Hearing 6 ayes and no nays, the motion carried by unanimous ballot. Motion carried.
Thank you much. Appreciate it.
Okay, I promise we're almost done. So, just kind of to sum up everything we've talked about, our committee is recommending constructing a new municipal swimming pool, as generally shown on our version 7 up there, at a present base cost of approximately $4.1 million. We're also recommending that the city seek authority to issue a $2 million of municipal bonds to partially fund the recommended project. We're recommending issuance of a $2 million of bonds to be repaid by a combination of property tax and retained earnings. The committee recommends establishment of a capital campaign committee so that fundraising may begin to partially fund the project. The committee recommends city council authorizing the committee to schedule and conduct several open house events around town at different times, just so we can kind of get the word out about the pool, and to allow opportunity for all interested residents to attend. The committee recommends authorizing Burbach Aquatics to complete Phase 1, Step number 5 and 6, services by assisting with the said capital campaign and referendum. We're recommending tentative start of construction on August 1st of 2023 so that the new pool would be set to open during the summer of 2024. We also recommend authorizing the Miller Pool Committee to continue to be productive throughout the construction of the new municipal pool until the end. So again, we've done a lot of research. We've put a lot of time into this. I think I can speak for everybody on the committee. We're very passionate about upgrading our pool and continuing to offer that to our community. So thanks again for your time and consideration. Our committee appreciates your support, and I'll open it up for questions. I'm not gonna stand here by myself.
Is there any questions from the council? Anybody on the council got any questions? How about the audience?
I say good for you guys, the pool committee. I remember when you came to us the first time a couple of years ago and you were a little reluctant to jump on that board, and I had, and I think everybody in here had full faith in you guys that you could pull this off, and you've done great. This is really exciting for the community, and good work for you guys for all the time and effort you put into this. This will be a lot of fun.
I'd like to thank everybody that's on this committee and everybody that's had anything to do with this for all the time they put in, the expertise we've had, and doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Look forward to seeing the finished product. Looks like it's gonna be amazing.
Great.
And so, Burbach Aquatics is gonna leave this print here for us, or this design. And so you can certainly, keep that here in the council room for future reference. Eventually we'd like to take it down to the pool so the community members can see it down there as well, just for a little more information. But in the short term, we'll leave it here so that you can refer to that as needed.
Yeah, I just wanted, Josh Slater here with Burbach Aquatics, I just wanted to thank the city of Miller, the pool committee, and all the city staff. It was a pleasure working with your community, and we hope to continue that effort.
Thank you.
Food for thought, maybe you guys can do that, use that during the farm and home show.
Yeah, we had kind of talked about places to display that, and that did come up, so.
We'd like to also include you guys from Burbank in on this too, because it's been very good to work with.
I have another thing. I'm the head coach for. I'm the head coach for Miller Swim Team this year, Miller Swim Club. Right now, our pool length is 25.5 meters, if I remember correctly, and it's 4 lanes. To be regulation length for short course swim meets, it has to be exactly 25 meters. So with the new pool, we'd be able to host swim meets, and that would bring in revenue, as long as, like, because people would have to stay in hotels, people would eat here, and it'd be a full, usually 25-meter pool meets are a day long, so it's a full day of getting other clubs into our town and getting revenue for our town as well.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, I guess we'll move on with the agenda. And I want to thank everybody for coming.
You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Yeah, you don't have to leave.
Scramble my
Hey, Abby.
$300.
I said, well, hey, Abby, I was gonna give her a.
Take $1 million of it. Not only people from Miller swimming the damn thing, too. So, provisions for $1 million.
Now we're going on to number 2, which is Keith Blatchford and his utilities. I'm leaving the meeting due to a conflict of interest, seeing he's my grandson, so I'm gonna turn the meeting over to Tony.
I don't think it's a conflict of interest if you're not voting on anything, is it?
What'd you say?
It's not a conflict of interest unless you're voting on anything, correct?
Well,
It's up to you if you want to stay or not. It's
You're the mayor.
well, go ahead, I'll stay here.
Well, the main reason I'm here is I got this notice of, I was sent to collections by the city of Miller for a bill that I tried to pay last fall and wasn't able to. And this all stems from back, my house never got fixed correctly. Last person I ever talked to about it was Terry. He asked me in town afterwards if it ever got fixed, and it hadn't. He told me to talk to the council and they'd get back to me. I never heard one word, and that was in 2018. Then, you guys had to put in a temporary water line, or, electrical line. And it was literally just thrown across the deck. That was in December of 19, I believe. That was thrown in. There's no conduit on the elbows. Open line. Didn't even move any of the snow, just threw it on top of a snow pile. My tenant tripped on that the first day he got back. He was out of town when they did it. I asked Bill if they could change that, and he told me no. He said it's got to stay there till the ground thaws because we can't dig. One, that's BS because Olson Construction was digging the same week in Huron. So I had to raise unholy hell with Bill to get that changed, and he didn't want to, and I told him he had to put it under the deck. And finally they did, but he didn't want to for a week because it was going to snow. Well, you can't leave open cables like that where people might be running a snowblower, or that won't end well. And I don't get why the city can do stuff like that, but I can't legally have someone put in wire like that somewhere because it's not to spec. And yet that's how that was done. So then, once it was finally fixed correctly, the conduit's just left in the ground on the wire. This right here is my access to my crawl space, which is now terrible to get into. It's been like that for 2 years or however long it's been since that project was completed. Last year when I had a tenant move out, I called the city, updated my address with them because I had since moved also to a different residence. About a month and a half later, I get a call from the finance office to update my address, even though I already updated it. I asked to pay the bill over the phone and they said, yep. I waited for about 2 minutes, then was told, well, we don't have it figured out, but it's not due for 2 or 3 weeks. We'll send it to you in the mail. Great. Didn't receive anything for months. 3 or 4 months later, I get a bill with a big late fee on it when I tried to pay it over the phone, long before it was due. So I wrote a check for the original amount, no late fee other than that. On and off, I've probably received 3 letters since then. This was back last fall. I received this. My address still is not right. So one, I tried to pay this bill last fall over the phone and got told originally I could, but then they had no idea what I owed them. Then I get this notice to collections and my address still isn't right when I update it 3 times. How am I expected to pay something if I try to pay it over the phone when I live 70 miles away? I get told not to, and I can't even get the bill shipped to me directly because my address still isn't right. And along with some of these notices that the city sent me, there was a nice letter that stated that I needed to pay it immediately or it would ruin my credit worthiness with the city. I think the city needs to worry about their credit worthiness with its citizens too. Because when my house had problems, it took 11 months before one thing was done. And it still is not right. And there's all these little problems and stuff that's done incorrectly, but yet they're worried about my credit rating with you guys. It should be the other way around. And if we're going to play these piddly games of sending people collections over a late fee like that, I'm going to go after for the money owed to me by this city and Menning Backhoe for the damages to my house. When it happened 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't have the money to hire a lawyer at all. So I was stuck. No one would help me from this city or Menning Backhoe nowhere. Unless I came up with the money for a lawyer, there's nothing I could do. So I tried to put it behind me, not worry about the city anymore. I can't sell that house because it ain't right. And it was never fixed correctly. So I've been having to rent it out. Trying to stay away from the city of Miller because every time I have something going on with the city of Miller, it's work like that. And now I still can't get away from the city of Miller because of a simple late fee that I tried to pay. But are you an electrician? Can you tell me if that's legal? If I wanted to wire up my garage, can I do what they did there?
Put your letters over here.
Nah, they all over there. Not the bottom one. Nope. They wanted to leave that. This was in December. They said they had to leave that until the ground thawed. So once I got kind of mouthy with Bill about the issue, because he didn't want to do it, and you guys didn't have enough people working that week, and the holidays were coming up, and yada, 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 he says, all right, we'll do something about it. And I said, whatever you got to do, put the thing under the deck. He sent some employees from here to go and do it. About an hour later, my tenant calls and says they wouldn't do it because they didn't have permission for me to drill a hole through the deck, when I had literally just told them. So then it took another day for me to tell Bill for like the 3rd time, yes, you have permission. And it's been little problems like this all the time with this city that is going to keep people away from wanting to be here. Me and my girlfriend moved back here and had every intention of raising our family here. And it's little stuff like this that goes on and on and on that keeps people away. And the deal with this Menning Backhoe, the guy was a nutcase to begin with. And a lot of people in this room know that. And what really upsets me the most about him, after our whole deal, when we were trying to straighten this out, I was 70 miles away planting one night. And I got a call from my girlfriend that someone came banging on our house door, demanding to speak to a guy named Vinny. We don't know Vinny. She kept telling him to leave. He wouldn't leave, and finally he tried to come in the screen door, and our dog chased him away. So I stayed on the phone with Brooke. She left town with the kids, or we only had one child at the time, but anyways, she called the Miller Police Department to make a report, and Wayne Ames was on duty. Never got a call back to follow up on anything. I don't even think he filed a report. And why would someone want to live in a community that's like that? And there was someone in this room that had told me shortly after a lot of this had occurred not to trust Nick Menning because he was a ticking time bomb. And apparently he threatened to kill somebody that was hired by the city as an inspector, and a city employee witnessed it, and several city council members were supposedly briefed on it and told about it. Nothing was ever done about it. So the city wants to do work like that, hire crazy contractors like that, not hold to their word that they're going to fix property that they did the damage to, and then they have the nerve to send me letters saying about my credit worthiness with this city. That's all I got.
So all of this is just about, you paid your bill at $248 evidently, correct?
Correct.
And it was a fee or something?
Yeah, there's a late fee that's now accumulated $16 that got sent to collections. And I'm not paying it.
216?
No, $16.
16. I was gonna say it's just been on the past due collection portion. Has all been accumulated over the months,
Correct.
correct?
But what do I do to get my address right? Because I called here once myself. I got a call from the finance office, gave it to him. That's when I tried to pay it over the phone, and I first got told yes I could. After waiting for several minutes, I got told, well, we don't have it figured up yet. And it's not late. You'll get a bill in the mail soon. I didn't get a bill for about 2 or 3 months after that. And now I know why, because apparently we can't put the right addresses on stuff going out of the city.
What's your address?
My address is 21815.
21815?
Correct. 406 Avenue. Cavour. Yep.
They have highway contract driver there, correct? They don't have a regular rural carrier.
That's a rural carrier, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, out of
Cavour.
Out of Cavour?
Correct.
Okay. I didn't know if they had a stop per mile over there. They probably do. But if they don't have a stop per mile, that makes it into a highway contract route, which is totally different.
No, there's places all over the place in the country out there.
Right.
So do we have the correct address on file now?
I don't know what's on the bill right there. Whatever's on the bill is what we have.
The bill, the account is 718 East Third.
No, that's the property.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, on this one, it's Keith Latford, 21815, 406th Avenue, Cavour, South Dakota, 57324. That's on, I think, a letter that was sent to you.
Correct.
Copy of the letter.
I think I've gotten 2 of them
Yeah,
over the past 6
And
months
your
or however
phone
long it's been.
yes. It had the correct address.
Well, someone didn't, because that is obviously not addressed.
That one over there?
That one is not, from the collection agency.
Oh, I don't have that in front of me. I do have the ones that were sent from the city of Miller, copies of the ones sent from the city of Miller to that address, to your correct address, if that, you're welcome to see them.
No, I believe you. I don't think I've received everything when I'm getting the wrong.
Well, in my opinion, I'm speaking for myself, it's a piddly amount.
It is a piddly amount, but before you finish that, Tony, because you're gonna really upset me here. You guys act like this is a piddly amount and it's a little thing. It's no different than with my house. My house deal was a piddly little thing in your guys' mind the whole time, and nothing ever got done.
You didn't let me finish.
Okay, finish.
It's a piddly amount, and I don't see why we're having such a problem when we can just write the damn thing off, in my opinion.
Well,
That's what I was gonna tell you.
gotcha.
That's my opinion. I can't speak for the rest of the council, so.
So have things been taken care of on your property as far as?
No, not at all. The last conversation I ever had was with Terry at Pump and Pack in the summer of 18, and he asked me if it was fixed correctly when Steve Riesel went to fix it. And it wasn't that Steve did bad work. Steve did what he could, but when Blackburns did the estimate with Mennings and told him what had to be done, they told him that beams had to be put across the bottom to straighten everything out, or you'd never get straight again. Well, between the city here and Menning Backhoe, they wouldn't pay it because it was almost $14,000 for the estimate. So originally, they wanted to get another estimate, and I had said, that's fine, as long as the work's, it's done correctly. Well, that was in July or August. I never heard nothing more. In December, I finally had asked Terry or someone here about it, and then Menning got a hold of me, and they wanted to wait because Mike Donlin told them to wait to see if it would freeze and thaw out, what would change. Fine. They said it'd be the first job in the spring. Well, I got busy at work, and at that time, I was working for someone when I'd live in a camper during the spring all over the place, so I wasn't home for about a month. And comes to find out, nothing had been done, and it's the middle of May. So 9 months after the first problem occurred. And then I figured out that Mike Donlin actually wasn't going to do the work. He was just doing the bid on it, and Nick Menning's guys were going to try to fix it themselves. And when I figured that out, I said, no, you guys are the ones that screwed it up, and this isn't what you do for a living. I want a professional to fix this the right way. And we went back and forth forever. The city and SPN and Nick Menning said they'd get more estimates from other people in Sioux Falls and surrounding areas. Never did. Finally, they said Steve Reese will come and do what he can, and he did what he could, but he literally just put a couple cinder blocks in places and put a post in there. When the professionals, they were the ones that told me that they wanted to have Blackburns look at it, told them what to do, and they didn't agree with the price. So, no, it was not fixed correctly. And Nick Menning and Blackburns and some council members here, one or two of them, went to my property and talked with Steve Ford, came over. He was the one I bought it from. And Steve even told everyone there that when he sold the place, all the floors were level throughout it. They're no longer level throughout it. And I don't know if I can even sell the home, because if it gets a home inspection done, I don't know if it'll pass for someone to get financing due to that.
Unfortunately, this is a couple of years ago, in my memory, what you're talking about is spotty.
Yeah.
I would recommend that our, and I'm gonna say our utility committee, because some committee, we need to go back and review all of this. And talk with you again, get all this information gathered back up.
Here's the problem I have, Bob,
See
with the
if we
committees. The last time we did all this several years ago, there was stuff said during a committee meeting, and then once it came to the city council meeting like we're doing now, I was told that what's said at a committee meeting isn't official city, so you can't go by the word of somebody at a committee meeting.
And you're correct, a committee meeting is not official, but somebody has to put all your information together.
Sure.
So it's been long enough back, Tammy wasn't even on the board at that time, so we can review this. I mean, I agree, this sounds like
No, the committee can't make anything but a recommendation.
Right.
To do things.
they can gather the information.
Right.
And bring it to the city council.
Right.
Yep.
And you put a timeline on it when you do that, or we put a timeline on this when this all happened?
I can put a timeline together of everything,
Well,
everything I got.
Kind of got caught up as you were going, but
Yeah. No, I've got it at home. I was gonna come read it tonight, but it'd be a long deal about everything that occurred throughout this mess.
So do we have any records of the city, of all of the things that were done?
Terry would have that. I don't have anything, I mean, that would be in the,
I might have some, I'd have to look.
And was it determined that Menning Construction was certainly, this is something that he did, should not have been done?
I asked that at a city council meeting when you guys were hosting them at the community center, whatever year that was. At who's liable for this, because it's obviously not my doings. I didn't hire anybody to do this. I didn't even know they were showing up to do it. They just showing up to do it. Great. But it's not my responsibility to fix this stuff. And I know, Tammy, you weren't on the council then, and I think you were actually gone at this meeting, Bob, but every council member here had the most blank stare, wouldn't hardly say a word about it. I got the copy of that council meeting the following week and listened to it. And after I left, there was 2 or 3 people in the city council that says, I'm not answering that question. I'm not saying who's liable for anything. So everybody wants to point the finger and act like it's my problem to deal with, and I do not get why. I don't know why this is my fault that I've got a house that's probably at a way lower value now due to something I never did.
That's the reason I think it would be really important for our, whichever committee we decide who that should be, goes back and gets all this information. And again, I would like to say that I'm remembering all this perfectly, and I'm sorry.
No, I get it, it's been a while.
But
Is that wiring still the same as it was?
No, it's underground now. This is what the end result was, though. I've got this big piece of conduit sticking out the ground.
You still have that?
Yes, and this is the access to my crawl space. So it is something else.
I can't believe that other picture you showed me there was actually done.
Yes, and I had to, sorry for my language, but I had to raise unholy hell with Bill to get this
I can
changed.
see why.
That is unacceptable work there. I can't legally, no one can legally do that anywhere.
I don't know how it.
Can I see your other one?
Yeah. And see, before you guys had finished that too, and I'd have to go back and look at pictures and notes. I had to do
That's my question, is that
So,
No, so the only thing that's current is this. This is a very current picture. I took this 2 days ago.
That pink thing is still on the ground.
Yes, it wraps around 10 feet under my deck.
So what's going on here with this orange interduct is Venture came and put interduct in with our power. And so you'll see this around a lot of houses, that the interduct's still laying there. It's not actually hooked to any houses yet until somebody hires Venture or basically says, yeah, I want your service. So that was Venture, whoever that wasn't a city thing. They used our trench is the way I understand it. But
Okay,
yeah,
but if it's just a Venture thing, when of the day had to get permission for me to put this under my deck, if it's not the city, how can Venture just go and start trenching stuff in without?
They threw it in with the power. I mean, that is easily something that
And-
we can.
And the other, and this has already been taken care of, but see,
Power it.
yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
That goes straight up to that box there.
Yeah.
And see, before this was in here, for about 2 months, there was just probably 50, 100 feet of big heavy wire spooled up right in front of that door underneath my crawl space. Or right in front of the crawl space. And I went over, I drove 70 miles on a Sunday to do something down there to the house, to look at some insulation or something, and I couldn't get under there. So I let it be for a month or so, and I came back and it was gone, and this was the end result, and it's been like this for I don't know how long. And it's just trying to get anything done in this city, whether it's with the city of Miller or a contractor like Nick Menning, has just been completely painful. Whenever this flooded, it ripped all my insulation out from underneath for the piping and everything. This happened in July. All of a sudden, the beginning of December, it started, and Nick Menning told me that it was gonna get fixed, and the city assured me it would all get taken care of. All of a sudden, the beginning of December, it got really cold, and comes to find out, there's no insulation down there. No one ever came back and got it. And I had to come and tell Terry, and then Terry had to, I think, get a little mouthy with Nick to make sure it got done, because it was gonna freeze. And then shortly after that, when they were hooking up the sewer mains and doing all that there, I crawled underneath my house one day, sewer caps off the sewer main. They forgot to put the sewer cap back on, and it was just laying down there for who knows how long. That's a health hazard there. And there is not one good experience with a contractor that the city hires or anything with the city I've had, and I'm sick and tired of it. And that getting sent to collections, that was just the icing on the cake of everything that I've had to put up with this city.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing this up
Yep.
to us, and however you go about your committee or whatever.
So if I remember this right, this whole thing with your crawl space, that was when they put the temporary water line there, and then when they hooked up the temporary water and turned it on, was there a valve or something that was open,
Yeah,
cracked pipe?
No.
His valve had broke.
So when they turned that
Froze
on,
and broke, so when they turned it on, when it was shut off, it didn't leak any water. But as soon as he turned his outside spigot on,
It wasn't-
his garden hose, and then it started leaking.
It wasn't broke before because that valve shuts off right at the outside.
I
And
know.
it was way further in, so
Yeah,
it wasn't.
because it's a frost-free spigot, so the stem goes clear inside under your house.
Okay.
So it never ever leaked unless you turned the water on to use the
Sure.
hose. But then you wouldn't know it because
It's underneath.
it's under the house and it's not a basement, it's a crawl space. So them guys turned it on to backfeed it to give him water and
And it was like that for about 3 weeks. The only reason it got found was because Tim Zacher, 3 or 4 houses down, could not keep water out of his basement. Supposedly for like 5 days or 7 days, people were trying to figure out where the water was coming from.
and I walked by his house and I heard it.
Yeah. And Jeff, I will say I'm not too happy with you about how this all played out because you should be my councilman for that district. You never once spoke with me at all about this problem. The only people that took the initiative to ask me what had happened or anything was Tony and I'm pulling a blank, the lady that just got off the council.
Saran Meyer.
Yeah, Sue-Ann. Those were the only two, and the only 2 words, or the only sentence you ever said to me throughout this whole deal, when I got all upset at a city council meeting at the community center, You told me I wasn't a man of my word and went back on my word on this. And I guess you were partially correct, I did, because I had said Donlins could fix that. Well, Donlins weren't gonna be the ones fixing it. I figured out that Mike Donlin was just writing his name on a piece of paper for it, and Menning's guys were gonna do it themselves. So no, I wasn't going back on my word. If you wanna talk about going back on words, I got told, Blackburns was gonna fix it from the get-go. And now it's 4 years later, and still hasn't been fixed. So, that's all I got. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, none of that water ever come out from under his house. Well, it's straight now and.
It needs to be fixed.
Yeah, it does.
So is
So
Minning,
it was flooding and
can Minning Construction still have some liability on this? Is there any recourse? Does anybody know?
You already paid them in full?
Yep.
I'm not gonna say anything until we look over it.
I think it needs to be
That-
It needs to be
investigated
looked
for
over before
sure.
anything else is said.
No,
We need not to drop it, we need to.
we need to review it and we need to gather all that timeline information and
In a timely
in a
fashion.
timely fashion.
Well,
So what committee would handle that?
Finance.
I don't understand why he wasn't getting his mail, because his address is the same as what's.
Well, he
It
said
was
he
just
got-
on the collection one.
He said he got those letters.
He
He
got
said he
these.
got these, he
Oh,
didn't on
okay.
the collection. That was a different address.
Well,